mismanaging their attention, because when you're in stress, stress is created by you can't predict something, you've lost control, or you have the perception that something's getting worse. And so look at the world we live in right now. People are in chronic stress. They don't know that, but now they need the arousal to wake them up, and then they need something outside of them, their cell phone, a TV, whatever it is, a movie, a drug or drink, whatever it is, to make that feeling go away. And once you notice the change in that internal state, you pay attention to what caused it, and now you're more reliant on the outer environment. So then, is it possible then to teach a person then to create more coherence in their brain and heart? And we have data to suggest that you could change your brain in 4 days and make it work better. You can make your heart, you can trade resentment, impatience, frustration for elevated emotions, and train people how to create more coherence in their heart. The side effect of that, doing that every day, we've done the research, will strengthen your immune system up to 50%. Why? Because your response isn't weakening you. You're not victim to your environment. So if you're not victim to your environment, then you're less susceptible to anything in your environment, large or small or tiny or microbes or whatever. So then, when the person understands that, then they say, oh my God, this hatred, this fear, this anger that I've become so accustomed to, I literally have to change that. And when we do, you have to understand that the body's going to crave the familiar feelings, because that's what it's used to. And this is the work. And people come to our work and they say, I think I'm doing my meditation wrong, because their body's getting aroused and they're getting frustrated. I say, no. You're actually doing it right. So now, instead of reaching for your cell phone, we'll give you something to do. Settle your body back down from that emotional state. Tell it it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind, and that's a victory. Then the person goes, I don't like this feeling, I don't know what I'm doing, and I want to get up, I want to quit, I want to go eat, when's this end? And they become conscious. Their body wants to move into the predictable future. And now they're going to execute a will that's greater than the program and return the body back to the present moment. That's a victory also. And if we keep doing this over and over again, and the stronger the emotions we feel, the more we pay attention to it. So every problem, every person in your life that you have an emotion associated with, you give them your attention. So as you lower the volume to your emotions, you take your attention off your personal life. And the only way you're going to change your personal reality then is to get beyond your personality. And the only way you're going to change your personal reality is to get beyond your memory of all the associations to your personal reality. And if you're going to heal your body, you got to get beyond your body. So you got to get beyond its habituations. You got to get beyond its emotional responses. And you got to tell the body it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind. And in the beginning, it's tedious, but working with your body like training an animal. We notice that there's a liberation of energy, and the person then who goes a little further than they normally go, instead of reaching for their cell phone or posting something on social media, they're going to stick with it and be curious. What's on the other side of this limited thought? What's on the other side of this familiar emotion? What's on the other side of this complaining and judging and analyzing? What's on the other side of it? Now, there's not a lot of agreement in society that says, Rangan, you have to sit with yourself and to know thyself, to become so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that I won't go unconscious again. And we found out that it's the overcoming process that is the becoming process. And people continue to overcome, and then they become that other person biologically.
Yeah, I mean, this is so powerful. You mentioned curiosity. I think that's such a wonderful emotion, thought, feeling, value for us all to have and approach our life with. What might it look like if I didn't wake up and feel like this every day? Even just to imagine that that's a possibility. Be curious about that. I think that's very empowering. You also said that many of us have become addicted to a life that we don't even like. That has stayed with me. That is so powerful. And I think people really need to sit with that. You mentioned rehearsal, but we're rehearsing, many of us, these negative emotions. We're rehearsing stress. We're getting better at being in stress because we're practicing every day. And you're offering a possibility to say, hey, listen, yeah, it may be uncomfortable at first. We know, we talk about comfort zones, right? You know, go for a longer run than usual. Go out your comfort zone. Have a cold shower, right? Get out of your comfort zone. But what your work, I think, speaks to is that we can get out of our comfort zone in our minds. So not with physical actions, but in our minds. Let's get out of your comfort zone. Think differently. And I wrote down this this comment on YouTube, Dr. Joe, which on one of your many videos that have got millions of views on, there was this comment at the top. I watched this video a year ago. It completely changed my life. I got rid of 15 years of depression. I lost 15 kilos of weight. I got 1,200 meters more to my Cooper test. I turned my company from the gates of bankruptcy into profit and established 3 more companies. I've not been sick once after this. I basically addicted myself to the positive. And to me, real experiences like that really, I think, speak to the power of your work. There's a real empowerment that you're giving people. A lot of people, Dr. Joe, may be struggling and going, okay, look, I get that. Yes, I don't like the way that I think, but I don't know how to change that, right? So in terms of moving this into maybe some practical things people can do, firstly, you need awareness. Hopefully this conversation is giving people that awareness. But if people are not aware, how can they become aware? And once they become aware, what sort of things should they start to do to start making those changes?
Yeah, thank you for teasing that out. That's such a great question. My interest is to give people the tools so that they have within their reach all the things they need to begin to apply and become scientists in their life. People don't know. If you don't know that those stress hormones are addictive, then you think they have power over you. If you don't think that you can change your thought, just because you have a thought, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And the moment I realized that, I was free, right? And if you isolate yourself a lot and you're not out in the world because of whatever, you'll start to believe every thought that you think is the truth. And so that challenge then of saying, okay, I do truly want to be happy. I do truly want to be healthy. I do truly want to have a life that is really empowering, that I feel good about. Okay, well, let's take a look. Like, if no different than, well, you use the example of Tiger Woods. No different than Tiger Woods watching himself swing on a video, observing himself play. No different than a person who stands in front of an audience and does a lecture and watches them do the lecture. Nobody else will see what they see. They'll see themselves very differently than anybody else, and they'll see themselves do it, and they'll want to self-correct. They'll want to evolve their experience. Now, because we got this big frontal lobe, 40% of our entire brain, that's our conscience. That's the seat of our awareness. That's our creative center. When we ask the question, what would it be like to be in a different life or to be happy? If instead of getting on your cell phone, or instead of getting on your social media, or instead of turning on the TV, or instead of calling a friend, and instead of doing something to distract you from that possible answer, if you sat with it long enough and that creative center turned on, it would naturally scan the whole entire landscape of the brain, because it's the CEO, it's the symphony leader, it has connections to all parts of the brain. And it's going to look out over the landscape of the brain and look at the knowledge you've learned and the experiences that are stitched in your brain that are associated with what you know to answer that question. And as it calls up these different networks of neurons, once the brain fires in tandem, you get an image or a picture in your mind, and that's called intention. You see a new possibility, right? So then, this is why I am passionate about what we're doing. I never thought, Rangan, that I would see the kind of changes in people's physical health that I've seen in the last 2 years. Now, people do the best with what they think is available. If you don't know that this is possible, you are going to make the same choice. And that may be relying on some pharmaceutical, something outside of you, some therapy, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your response hasn't changed in your life, the efficacy of whatever you're doing is going to be diminished. Okay, so once I now know that people could heal from different health conditions, and there's evidence in the science and there's evidence in testimony, like the person that you just recited, that's one of many, many people that have had that experience. When they stand on the stage at our week-long retreats, and we call them up, why do I call them up on the stage? Because they are speaking the truth. They are the example of truth. And I want people to become aware of that possibility. Why? Because if you're unaware of it, it doesn't exist for you. And consciousness is awareness, right? And so then with consciousness, you can't have consciousness without energy. So that thought of another possibility is a different energy. It's a different possibility. And so now, once you know it's possible, then, okay, now let's get down to stepping in the footprints that other people have left behind. Why? If you're telling the story of your past every single day and 50% of that isn't even the truth, then you're reliving a miserable life that you never even had, all for the reason to excuse yourself from change.